obviously we'll try to continue, regular initiatives. So every year we have a horn day that's been running 2 years now, excluding the pandemic year. The Sunset Carols, which we do every year. And every year we also do a feature concert. So that's our own concert that we own, and we program an hour's worth of, big horn ensemble music. And that's really for us, I think, that project.
Was that the one in last year? That was the one in Hartley concert with the pretty lights.
That's right. Yeah, we got some good lights in. Yeah. So that's sort of our, I guess, the For Us project, for the core membership.
Yeah.
And then usually we'll take on one or two other things a year as they come up. So we're pretty flexible as long as we can fit it into our schedule. Last year we did some additional caroling, and we played at the Lord Mayor's Christmas concert, and we recorded a short recital for the International Horn Symposium. So, when opportunities come up, we like to take them. So, my philosophy the last couple of years has actually been to sit tight and just wait a little bit, because sometimes things come up, people approach us, and it's nice to be able to say, yeah, let's do that. So when you already established an entity, to be stabilizing, and then wait for people to approach you, and it's nothing is always about growing. I think we've grown very rapidly over the last, particularly 3 years.
You have.
And so I think it's actually a good opportunity to go, okay, let's consolidate what we've got, and then, go from there and make sure everything we're doing is really good, and then take it from there and see what we can do. But of course, it is a community organisation where, we're not full-time, and, the committee are all volunteers. So, there's only so much that we can ask, of people's time, and everyone does give a lot to the organisation. So I'm sort of conscious of sort of not blowing out into this huge, professional full-time organisation. It's very much about kind of making sure people are enjoying what they're doing and staying engaged with their playing, and giving them an outlet for that.
Tell us about some of the challenges being, both a professional horn player and in an orchestra with, a certain amount of hours of the week to commit into, rehearsals and performance, but also as on top of that, having to manage a pretty decent sized organization.
Yeah.
How do you manage your time? How do you manage your energy? What are some of the things that you...
It's a good question. I'm sure I'm not always successful, but I think of course, there's an element of having to prioritize, I guess, during the week. I mean, the good thing about the Horn Jam is that these days we have existing processes and things like that. We can obviously reuse a lot of stuff. The basics and things like logos and all of that kind of stuff has been done. So we're not kind of doing everything from scratch every year anymore, which is really good. The committee, we have a committee of 8 players within the organisation, and they do a lot of work, to make sure that things run smoothly. Obviously there's a fair amount of my time that I have to put into making sure that my playing's at a certain level, and that I'm, on top of the stuff that I need to do at work. But, in general, the ASO work is fairly flexible. There's, as in, from week to week, it's quite different. Yeah. So, you find time here and there to kind of slot things in and make things work. So
I suppose if it's your passion, if it's where your heart is, then it's always easier.
I think, in some ways I consider the Horn Jam part of my job. It is part of what I think being a professional musician should be, which is giving back to the community. So I don't really see it as being necessarily entirely separate from my work at the ASO. They're complementary parts of, my philosophy, I suppose, on what working as an artist should mean in a society.
Yeah. How many people are there in the 18 plus?
I don't know the exact number, but maybe
on a good day.
On a good day, for most of our feature concerts, and the Sunset Carols, the ones that attract the most number of players, we'd be getting close to 20 sort of adult players now. Yeah. Wow. We have a slightly larger membership. There's probably an additional sort of 6-7 players that we don't see very regularly, but come to one-off things. So, we try to organise it so that we're quite conscious that different people have different responsibilities and different things in their life. For some people, they've got a lot of time to give, and a lot of people don't. And that we don't want to make that not okay. I think there's a lot of community organisations that require this kind of weekly or regular commitment, and that's great. But what we do is a slightly different approach, you know. So we have project-based things during the year, and we say, okay, for this project, we need people to come to 12 rehearsals. If you can commit to that, you can do this. If you can't, why don't you consider coming to these other things where there's only 1 rehearsal or 3 rehearsals, or we'll get together for a casual session or whatever.
Yeah.
So this kind of, we try to tailor that to make sure that people don't feel bad about you know, they're welcome to participate in whatever they want to participate in whenever they can. So, you know, obviously with the university students, we try and get them involved as much as possible for their education, you know, but for community players, you know, if they say I'm coming twice a year, you know, once in July and once in, you know, whatever, I say, great, that's better than nothing. We're really happy to have you. And I think that's important that we send that message of, you know, any participation in music, you know, as an adult is a really positive thing.
Yeah.
You know, we shouldn't be pushing them away, you know, depending on what they've got else going on in their life. So.
That makes sense. That makes sense, because I was going to ask you, like, how do you start a 20 people ensemble from, you know, from suburban, but you know, by the sound of it, it's very much like project based, like task based.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's important. I think even for people that are not professional musicians or not pursuing a career in music, you know, just like anything in life, it's very difficult to maintain long-term interest without goals.
Yeah.
You know, if
so
you go
start
into
with a concert vision.
Yeah, we like to give them something to aim towards, you know, and say this is what the experience you're gonna get out of it, and this is the work we need to go into it beforehand. And I find that a lot of the time that's actually brought, you know, over the years, you know, we didn't start with 20 players, we started with 4. You know, and over time we've kind of, that was not my idea, that was somebody else's idea. One of our previous president, Kerry, who really pushed for us to have these goals, you know, to try and keep people engaged, and that actually brought a lot of new people into the organisation. So I have to credit him with that. Yeah, you know, really pushing that kind of focus within the organisation, I think was very important.
How many different types of how many different departments are there in the community? I know Nicola's the social
secretary,
the chairman of the social events, the party events.
We have a president, treasurer, secretary, so the executive, and then I sit as the artistic director, which is actually a separate sort of, you know, I'm appointed from the committee, so it's actually a lesser position in a way. But and then we have some general committee members, so which Nicola is one, so we might assign them sort of certain, you know, specialist sort of tasks and things when we need them, so a bit more flexible roles. And then we also have a librarian who obviously manages the library, but, you know, might come on board and do other things as well. So, yeah, we've got quite a diverse group of roles and things, but, you know, it's pretty flexible. I think when we need something done, we just tell someone, you know, this is what we need done, and somebody will do it. So it's, you know,
But it seems like it's, you know, working very well, very intricate, you know.
Yeah, I think it's, well, you know, we're constantly trying to, you know, we don't always get things right, you know, sometimes things are not...
Shopping going wrong.
That's right, yeah. You know, all sorts
blown
of
over
things.
the budget.
That's right. We've had some interesting, So the T-shirts, we ordered about 100 T-shirts that were too big, you know. It's like things go wrong all the time, but that's part of the learning process, you know, to try and, you know, go, great, okay, that happened. Got to make sure we don't do that next time. So, you know, it's all part of the process,
Very interesting. And is that also part of your PhD studies as well? Looking at the inner working of an ensemble management?
Partly, yeah. So looking at sort of, you know, historically, have there been weaknesses in those areas that have, you know, consistently led to problems in these groups? You know, certainly it suggests that is the case. So what are some of the things we can do to help those people, you know? Because a lot of the time these community organisations are run off the back of one person, you know. And in the beginning, the Horn Jam was that, you know, I did pretty much everything for it. But, you know, we incorporated in 2018, and part of that process was getting a committee on board and having that support mechanism. And actually it's made me feel a lot more, not only more supported, but it's also made me feel that a lot happier about the group, because I know that if I wasn't to be there, I think it would continue in some guise, you know. And I think that's, because for me, that makes me feel a lot better, because it doesn't feel like it was, you know, just my effort kind of making it happen. Now it's the effort of many. And I think, you know, it's important to me that if you create something, you want it to live, you know, beyond your own input. So, you know, it makes me feel a lot better about, you know, what we've created, that it kind of will sustain itself long term if those, you know, additional committee members and those, you know, players in the community can continue to kind of help each other, I guess, you know, take the load off each other and help. So, I
guess for me, what I'm struggling at the moment with my concerts and also my teaching things, and I'm really starting to learn the importance of being able to delegate things to other people.
It's
and
a challenging thing for
it
people
is,
when
and it's a it's also a trust thing, and it's also, you know, you have to take that leap of faith and delegate tasks to certain people, and be completely open to the fact that they might not be suitable, and you have to
I think it's a really interesting point that you've raised, because I think a lot of people who are those sort of people that have these visions for what they want to create, you know, I think, you know, we always sort of talk about, oh, you know, this person's working really hard, nobody's helping them. But a lot of the time, those people aren't asking for that support and aren't seeking that support because they have a fear maybe of, you know, things going wrong, or fear of not being in control. And I think that was something like, you know, I recognized that quite early on in myself. You know, it's really important to make sure you're open-minded, and that, you know, if the majority of the committee now says we want to do something a different way, you know, I feel really open about that now, you know, whereas before I think I would have been, or, you know, maybe prior to the Horn Jam, I would have been very like protective of that. Yeah. You know, I know better, like, you know, I know exactly what I want to create, but it's actually not about that. It's about, you know, making sure that your community is being served. And, you know, if everyone turned around next year and said, we don't want to do a big concert, like, you got to be okay with that, you know, and find out what are the reasons why, you know, and what are the reasons that, you know, what are the things we could do to be supporting those people better. So I think, you know, it can't be, yes, you have to have a leader, but also you have to have someone that's not leading in a way that's, you know, stopping other people from enjoying it, or not listening and responding to what's around you. So that has been a big focus of my thesis, I suppose, is kind of looking into what those characteristics are of, you know, leadership and delegation and all those things.
It's a very eye-opening conversation, because we started off, you know, speaking about the instrument itself. It's very funny because we were actually talking to a friend of ours just yesterday. We're talking about, you know, what it actually means to be pursuing or studying music on a specific instrument, and what I've told that person was the instrument was, you know, from the very beginning, it's a craft of skills that you actualize years after years, and from one point it becomes a vessel for something else bigger. Yeah. To work with other musicians, and then beyond that is to serve society.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way of putting it. You know, you have to put in that sort of the really physical kind of part of it, but actually it is, you know, in service to other things. It's in service to creating art, and it's in service to creating you know, humanity within society. That's, you know, if that's what you believe, that the role of art is in a society, then obviously you realize you have a lot of other obligations to, you know, fulfill that, you know, through what you do. And that's not necessarily to say that I think every person should be creating their own community ensembles, and, you know, that's not the path for everybody. You know, some people, you know, do that through playing beautifully, you know, through, you know, teaching, and some people do that through community music, and some people do it through, you know, conducting, or, you know, even just talking about music with others, and, you know, sharing that love with others through playing or talking about it. I think, you know, it's not always the same for different people, but different people actualize that in different ways. No, very I'd say I've seen a lot of that just you know, from last year's Horn Jam. I've seen a lot of that in real life. It connects the audience. You know, it doesn't matter if it's actual concerts that's dedicated to certain music. It could be, you know, community, you know, Christmas events, or just, you know, we're booking Hartley Concert Room, come and have a listen. And I've seen a lot of that. It's very great. I think it's been a positive thing. So it really warmed my heart. Like, personally, I just like, it's very wholesome, isn't it?
Wow. Horn Jam, big family, yay.
Yes, big family, very big family.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Thank you so much, Emma.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Looking forward to see where you're. I mean, how many more months to go with your topic? 2 more months and you're done. So we can finally call you Dr. Gregan.
Well, 2 more months till I submit.
Okay.
If they come back and say this is terrible, then you can't call me that. But, you know, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to read it.